What's up? So, sitting here reminiscing. Basically. So y'all know? Shit, y'all don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like hella bored. So Obley and I have just been watching the shadows drift across the sidewalk. JK, I haven't been doing that at all. Not at all. So what's up, Fern? Okay, so anyway, why am I here? I'll tell you why I'm here. I woke up here. No, I'm just kidding. This is the weirdest shit I've ever made in my life. I was trying to get you on the camera, bruh. Don't you want to see the people? So basically, I'm just sitting here, kind of chilling. Oblio and I actually had a talk with Oblio. I didn't have a talk. He wants his belly rubbed, you little belly bugger. My movie stopped recording, so I was kind of like, okay. Yeah, there I am. So I was like talking to Oblio earlier, and I was just thinking to myself, like, how, I wasn't talking to him, actually, I probably was, I don't remember. But I was like thinking how kind of sad it is that we can like say whatever we want to this thing. Like, I could say whatever I wanted to him. Like, watch. Oblio, sit. Shake. Thanks. You're just so handsome. This paw over here is so handsome. So I was just like thinking to myself, like, how bad it must suck that like I can say whatever I want to him, but he can't talk back. And I told him over and over again, like, dude, I wish you could talk. I really do. I would never be bored and I would never be lonely if he could talk. But I can talk to him, which makes sense. But a part of me is just wondering if there's like a being in him who like comprehends that I'm talking to him and is like understanding, like listening to me, and is like, because if you think about it, supposedly, like, I think cats, or no, that's birds. Somebody told me once, okay, so I was watching this video of like birds talking, don't ask me why, but some of those birds can like talk really well. And I like commented on it, and I was like, yo, this is like really mind altering. I didn't know birds could actually hold conversations like this. And somebody was like, yeah, they have the equivalency of like a 3-year-old. I was like, yo, so a bird brain is like a 3-year-old. So in my head, I'm like, well, maybe a dog is like a 2-year-old, or like something like that. But anyway, 2-year-olds can understand, to an extent. The sun is getting hot. They can understand to an extent. So I feel like they, okay, so here's what I mean. A 2-year-old has been around English for that long that it starts recollecting and understanding it. So I feel like if somebody is around a speaking language for long enough, they like start to get it. So I feel like animals in a sense understand English and whatever language they're spoken to, if they're spoken to enough. And so that's my theory, is that he does understand what I'm saying. So I wonder if something in him is like thinking like, damn, I really wish I could talk to you too. But maybe he's not. Maybe he's just like, you're a weird bitch. But anyway. Yep, so him and I have just been kind of chilling. I was sitting, waiting, wish that we believed in superstitions. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's how it goes. Shout out to Jack Johnson, dude. I was so in love with that. I wasn't really in love with him. Like, it's not like, oh my god, Jack Johnson, you're so attractive. I didn't know if I was wearing a shirt underneath. I'm so hot. I need to take this off. But I was like, I don't know what I was saying. How would I put you on this tripod? There's a point to this video. Don't worry. It's just, when will you know what the point is? You know what? I've been waiting for questions all my life too. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know. Alright, it's hot. So, y'all know I was sent that coat rack, right? I did a giveaway for that. 2 people could have gotten a coat rack, but for free, sent to them for free from the company, but nobody wanted to read my description box and nobody cared to get one, so it's like, sorry y'all, I guess they didn't want one. So basically, like, my dog's just like looking at me like, you're at it again, yo. But anyway, that company, the reason why I got that was because oh my god, life is so sometimes I wonder if it's like, I don't wonder, I know it's easier to just be normal and like, sorry, this candle. Okay, I'll blow it out for you because it does kind of, if you have anxiety and you just hear this noise, it's not relaxing. It's actually quite white noise-ish, like you forgot to put it on the right station. But, you know, it says that it had a soothing, like, you know, cracking sound. I'll read it to you, okay? I mean, it smells delicious, but it says, with a patent soothing crackle. See that? Soothing crackle. My camera doesn't like to focus. I don't get how everybody else's videos are just like, oh, look it, I focus all the time. Mine doesn't. So yeah, but it says for best results, you gotta burn it for 3-4 hours a day. But like, man, nobody can do that. Nobody got time. I'm just kidding. But like, for real, sometimes the sound gets to me, so I had to blow it out. Alright, so back to what I was saying, was that I got sent that, and I got sent that because, like, you know, companies will contact me and just be like, yo, do you want to, like, review some clothes? And I'm like, yeah, sure. One, because, like, for other people out there who, like, know what it's like to not have a lot of money. And what also, I don't even like talking about this because people have this connotation in their mind that, like, YouTubers are just rich no matter what. Like, oh my god, if you have a certain number of subscribers, you're filthy rich. I literally, guys, I'm not trying to, I do not, like, I don't know. It's so hard. Like, it's really hard. I feel like YouTube is a place where you can't go to talk to anymore. Like, nowhere you can go to talk. And I kind of started realizing this earlier because I have just been doing some research, like always, you know, I just brainwashed myself. And it sucks because, like, my dad used to tell me when I've, like, gone over the limit. Like, I'm like, when I used to ask my dad certain questions, you know, I'd be researching something and I'd be like, so dad, I totally, like, I gotta ask you something. And then I ask him, he would just look at me and be like, all right, dude, like, put it down. Put it down, turn it off, stop. I don't have that anymore. So now I just, like, dive, sometimes I'll, like, comment on videos or people will comment on my video and just be like, you know, la da 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 da. And sometimes I'll just be like, dude, I'm telling you, I'm going through the wormhole too. I'm so deep down that my knuckles can't even scrape to get back up. But no, seriously, like, it's so hard. It is so hard. And then what I don't understand too is when you think like I do, and I don't even know if other people think like me, so I can't even act like I'm in a category of whatever the hell you want to call it. But I feel like when you just have a little bit of weird interest like I do, you mention something to somebody else and it's like they either like, pew, flies right over their head, or they don't care. Like, it literally doesn't spark interest in them. Like, you tell them something and either like, oh, that's a conspiracy, like, shit it out. Or they're like, so anyway, I got this new Rolex. And I'm just like, I'm so confused. And then I think to myself, like, what the hell? No, I'm not even gonna get into that. Like, it's so, oh my god. It's whatever. But, I don't know. Sorry, this has no purpose. It's gonna, don't worry. Everything is for a reason. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm really serious right now. It's just that I have been having a hard time. Yeah. But, and you know what also sucks, yo? Is that people are like, oh my god. Fucking hate being emotional. I hate it. But people will email me or message me, you know, and they'll just be like, oh, like tell me about, you know, what they're going through, you know, the stuff that I went through too, or just along the same lines of like a loved one dying, someone they care about dying, and how the hell I'm okay and how I'm managing to be okay. And I'm like, I'm not fucking crazy. And I'm just kidding. People are probably like, yo, dude, you are crazy. And I'm like, dude, so what? Like, what? I always have that, you know how that one video was like 2 birds of a feather, and that wasn't the freaking saying. It's like the flock of a feather. I I still say that all the time in my head. I'm sorry, dude. Welcome to my life, yo. Welcome to my frickin' life. But anyway, here we go. No idea what I was talking about. Literally, like, sometimes I wish I was, like, live recording and I could just press pause, rewind it, watch the last 15 seconds of what just happened in my life, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, there we go, I'm back to track, but I can't do that sometimes. So anyway, what I was saying was, it was something along the lines of, like, people just being, I don't know what it is, you guys, like, I really don't. Like, I don't know what it is. But I know that, okay, that's what I was talking about, fuck. That's one word you shouldn't say. Okay, anyway. So, people email me, I'm so weird. And then, like, I know 2 seconds ago I was just crying because of what I was thinking about, but then I totally forgot what I was thinking about, and now I'm not sad anymore, but I know I'm about to start thinking about it again, so it's gonna make me sad. But people will email me and just be like, dude, how do you, I'm so depressed, like, how do I do this? And, like, with me, I, like, don't even know what to do. Like, I really don't know what to do because, like, I do get it, you guys. I don't freaking know where to start. Like, I don't know, because, like, when I give advice, it's like, I don't want people to think that I'm, like, a professional psychiatrist or, you know, like, a whatever it's called, a freaking therapist. Because, like, I'm not, you know, and, like, my ways of coping, quote unquote, may not even be, like, the healthiest. And I do get it, like, there's no certain way to it, but, like, I have been having to learn how to deal with life with the brain, the emotions, and just the way I work recently. This is so hard to explain. Because, like, for one, I got into my accident. I need the sun. I think that's what's wrong with my life. And that's another thing they don't tell you when you start becoming vegan. This place is weird. This world is weird. Oh, there's people right there. I kind of want to show you guys, but I'm scared that they'll see me. Nope, you can't. I think they're going inside them. I'm so weird. That was weird. My bad. That was weird. All right, I'm gonna raise this because why not? Too high, but I'm not stopping. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm gonna do this because I painted this when I was younger. Ah, the lighting sucks though. I painted that. Isn't that beautiful? It's actually, you know, the type of thing where it's like cloth and you had to use wax and, like, dude, I'm telling you, creativity at its finest. I'm cold again, so I'm gonna stand in front of my fireplace. Alright. I guess we're standing right here. Alright, so. Now it's too high. I feel like my ways of coping may not be the professional way or even the best way or even the healthiest way at all. Like, literally the way I am living my life and how my brain is choosing to cope with the things I've seen in the death of my parents, it might come back and bite me in the ass like 20, 30 years from now. Or not. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Like, I really don't. But it's like I want to make videos about this, but I feel like people, like, look at me as some sort of professional, like, teacher, and I'm not. Like, yo, I'm not. I'm some, like, chick. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing 99% of the time. So, like, should I even be giving people advice? I don't know. But people are watching, so it's like I can't stop. No, I'm just kidding. But literally, like, I still, to this day, have always just done me on my YouTube channel. So, like, I don't proclaim to be a professional about anything I talk about. I don't even know if half of this stuff, like, I don't know, okay? And then a lot of the times it's like, Sarah, why post a video talking about something like, for example, going vegan, when you literally don't know jack shit about going vegan besides the fact that you watched both your mom and dad die of cancer, and right now, the scientific information that people are shitting into us through media, through YouTube, why am I yelling? through everything says that meat, saturated fat, things like that is what's causing cancer. So I'm over here like, okay, well, I just watched World War III happen in my fucking house. I'm not gonna have it happen to myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing watching. I don't want to witness cancer. Like, I really don't. So, yeah, a part of me is like, dude, why post things when you really don't know? But life is about learning. So like a part of me is like, yo, if I make videos and I talk about a choice I made and then it turned out to be a horrible mistake, and then I talk about the mistake that I learned and that this, that, and the other, I don't want people to like turn around and then like be like, well, you made me do this too, and you made me start thinking this way, and you made me stop eating this and that and the other. And that's where YouTube gets so freaking hard. Especially when you have a big following, because like, yo, if I had like 30 peeps following me, I could talk about whatever the hell I wanted. Now my freaking story times that I posted 9 years ago are getting flagged for being, what is it, controversial, because I'm talking about my job as a door-to-door salesman. You're taking away my money because I want to tell a story about my life. Good God. Good God. That's why I'm like trying to get my own freaking like website or something. Like, I want out of here. I want out of this world, to be honest. Like, I'm not from this planet. I love that song so much. Oh no, dude. I don't know if I should post this. I don't know. Sometimes I just wanna, I actually thought about this earlier. I'm a very random person. So if people were to ask me to like vlog or something like that, it's a lot. I lost my freaking baby camera. That's what it comes down to, yo. I lost my camera. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. Life's confusing. Okay, that's all I have to say. I'm from this planet. I made this video to put together a laundry hamper. Swear to God, like, it's laid out on my phone. I'm gonna prove it to you. But I was like, I don't know. It was right there. So that's like originally what I'm supposed to do, and I was watching Jordan Peterson talk. So that's probably what I should just keep on doing. But one thing is that the reason why I have this hamper, because I feel like a lot of the times people on YouTube, like when a company contacts them, they get a lot of shit they don't need, you know? So then it's like hard, because I don't want people to be like, why are you making another video of you putting together something because another company sent you something? Like, are you just trying to rub in our faces you got something sent to you? Like, no, dude, I've needed a hamper my whole life and I can't afford one by myself, so. Anyway, this is my hamper that I'm dealing with. It's like so old. I swear my mom and I got this. So it's just broke. Okay, we got pipes hanging out right here. Pipes, it's like a bar. And then if you like look inside, I don't know, you can't really tell, but this like whole thing is broken. And it's just real, it like still works, you know, like obviously it's holding closed, but it's just not steady. Like, it literally falls over. It's just, it doesn't look nice. Like, someone comes over, it's like, hey, what is that? Oh, I made it myself in art class back in the 1600s. But anyway, I also got this for my cats. This is pretty cool. In there, if I zoom in, that thing down there is like a filtration system. Hey, that's a pretty cool view. And yeah, it's like an automatic water bowl. So anyway. Oh, one more thing. My Christmas cactus started blooming. So I thought I'd show you. Excuse the mess. Like, life is messy. What can I say? Look at how beautiful. This one is Say Hello, Mama. See how freaking pretty it is? Like, it's not Christmas, but it's like pretty close to it. And this little guy. So freaking pretty. Oh yeah, it's doing real. There's like a bunch back there, and the one upstairs in my dad's room is growing crazy too. Anyway, so that was the original purpose of this video. This is 20 minutes long. like literally, I have recorded this like 6 different times, and then I stopped it in the middle and was like, dude, why would you post something like that on YouTube? Because like, yo, I used to just be able to like record whatever I wanted, and then I'd post it, and then people wouldn't like be too crazy. But now that I have such a like big following, people just like get to just saying some weird stuff, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like this whole multiple personality disorder, whenever I post a video of me being funny, you know, it's like makes me not want to post funny videos. Alright, anyway. We're gonna try this out. Oh my god. I literally like, how do these people do it? This is why people work with a crew. Like, oh my god. We're gonna do it my way. Saddle up, bitch. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, Blue's dog toy. That can be my stand. Actually, I feel like maybe if I set you right, like, here. Better. See, and I kind of like not having to do, you know, have a purpose to my videos.
Okay, so let's go back to the complexity problem. See, I actually think it's in some sense, it's the fundamental problem.
We're building this.
When you read about the terror management theorist types, they think that death is the fundamental problem.
Whoops, yeah, that was right.
And that's an argument. It's not really a fundamental problem, but I think it's a subset of the complexity problem. And the reason I think that is because sometimes people's lives become so complex that they'd rather be dead. So, and the reason they seek death through suicide is to make the complexity go away. Because complexity causes suffering.
Do you really need your toy right now?
You know,
I use that as my camera stand.
And that can happen, you know, if you're hit by 3 or 4 catastrophes at the same time. You know, maybe you have the political system collapses, there's hyperinflation, you lose your job, and you have someone that you love die, and maybe you get cancer, something like that. Like that, those things happen to people, and they just think, well, there's no getting out of this. Like, it's just too much. You know, one of the things that's very interesting about being a psychologist is that what you learn if you're going to be a psychologist is that people come to you with mental illnesses, and that's almost never true. People come to you because their lives are so damn complicated, they cannot stay on top of them in any way that doesn't make it look like they're just going to get more complicated. And so then that causes symptoms, you know, it's like this old idea, sort of a metaphor for genetic susceptibility. Take a balloon and blow it up until it's beyond its tolerance. It's going to blow out at the weakest point. Well, that's sort of what a genetic susceptibility is. If I just keep adding complexity on top of you, at some point you'll blow out at your weakest point. You know, maybe you'll get physiologically ill, maybe you'll start drinking, maybe you'll develop an anxiety disorder, maybe you'll get OCD, maybe you'll get depressed, whatever. There'll be something about you that's the weakest point, and if I just push, that's where you'll blow out. So that's a mental illness. But
real quick before I keep going, I personally think that it's cooler to like get this stuff and put it together. One, because like my dad used to put everything together. Like if I got something, he just put it together for me. And so I feel like me putting stuff together is like teaching me how to do shit. So like it's kind of like a win-win situation, you know what I mean?
those things almost never just happen. Sometimes, but not very often. Usually people have just been hammered like 2 or 3 different ways, and then they collapse in the direction of their biological weakness, and then maybe you put them back together. But it's almost always a complexity-related phenomena rather than a mental illness-related phenomena. Not always, but almost always.
We're gonna go to one of his lectures because that was a short video. What should we learn about today, guys? How about... This is interesting. Let's watch this. It is titled
Jordan Peterson
Freedom of Speech, Not Just Another Value.
psychology professor at University of Western Ontario, but no, University of Toronto. Been there some years. SAFS got involved because we were sent the letters that Dr. Peterson's dean and then Vice Provo, I believe, had sent him, and they worried us tremendously as people concerned about academic freedom and the integrity of teaching. The letters warned Dr. Peterson to stop saying publicly that he would refuse requests to use non-gendered or additional pronouns. And this is, for us, was a very serious matter, a very serious incursion on the freedom of teachers to teach as they will. Teaching has a lot to do with the rapport between the professor and the student, classroom dynamics, and the honesty and sincerity that teaching requires, we thought, were infringed by these orders, and especially orders coming from deans and department heads. So we wrote letters to University of Toronto about this. So we're very privileged to have Dr. Peterson with us today to talk to us about these things, maybe also some more theoretical and abstract things than his own particular case. He's going to talk to us about why freedom of speech is not just another value. Dr. Peterson, thanks.
So I thought I'd start, I'm going to approach this from three directions, or in three sections. I thought I'd start by just letting you know why I was objecting specifically to Bill C-16. I made 3 videos in late September, and one of them criticized Bill C-16, and one of them criticized the University of Toronto administration's, the human resources people's decision to make so-called unconscious anti-bias training mandatory for their HR staff, which I thought was, and still think, was reprehensible. And I don't even remember what the other one was about, but it doesn't really matter. That was the first one, the one on Bill C-16, that caused most of the furor, surprisingly enough. And I said I wouldn't use the made-up, what I consider neologisms that purport to describe the status of people whose sexual identity is ambiguous. Because that isn't how it looked to me. It looked to me like these words like Z and Zer and so forth were the linguistic vanguard of an intellectual movement that I would say detest is probably the right description. And that's this strange blend of postmodernism and Marxism that has emerged to occupy the bulk of the humanities and a good chunk of the social sciences. And so that was the first thing, is that I'm not using those words. That was the first thing. That was personal, right? Is that that's not a form of linguistic game that I'm willing to play. And I have my reasons for that. The second was I regard any legislation that compels people to use a certain kind of language as a very dangerous, first of all, a dangerous piece of legislation directly, but also a very dangerous precedent. I mean, there are limits on free speech that are already reasonably well instantiated in the law. You can't incite a crime. You can't threaten someone bodily in a believable manner. You can't libel someone. We already have reasonable restrictions on what you can't say, but we've never had legislation that required you to use a certain language except in certain commercial applications. So, for example, if you sell tobacco, you have to put a warning on it. But the United States Supreme Court decided, I believe it was in the 1940s, that similar attempts to compel speech on the part of individuals in non-commercial settings was unconstitutional. And I know that that doesn't have any direct bearing on Canadian law, but certainly the principle does. And then I was also very See, one of the problems with a piece of legislation, and this is, I suppose, the problem with interpreting a text, as the postmodernists would say, is that it's not easy to get the level of interpretation right? Because if you're interpreting a text, you can look at the letters. That happens with biblical interpretation very often. You can look at the individual words, you can look at the phrases, you can look at the sentences, you can look at the paragraphs, you can look at the work as a whole, and then you also have to look at the context within which the work is being interpreted in order to come up with an interpretation of anything that's complex. And so when you see a piece of legislation, it isn't obvious what the legislation is actually intended to do, despite what it's purported to do, and it isn't obvious what level of analysis to pick when you're going to criticize it. And in some ways, Bill C-16, you could regard it as innocuous, just as an extension of rights that have already been granted to certain, let's say, protected groups, although I'm not so thrilled about the whole notion of ascribing rights to groups to begin with. We're already far down that path. But, and you know, I've been accused of making a mountain a molehill, but happily enough, the University of Toronto, after I made the videos, immediately produced 2 letters that were informed by their legal department's wisdom, stating that what I had done with the video was perhaps in conflict with the university. So the other thing that
Stay calm.
Other elements of the legislation that I object to and objected to and still do. And if you read the policies within which the legislation will be interpreted, as the Federal Justice website indicated, that it would be interpreted within the policies that the Ontario Human Rights Commission has already established. Of course, there's close crosstalk between Ontario and the federal government because the Liberals are in power in both, and the radical end of the Liberal Party is in power in both situations. And, you know, it turns out that it's illegal for, like, you're liable as an employer, for example, if any of your employees say anything that can be construed as harassment, say on the grounds of sexual or gender identity, even if what they say has unintended consequences, and even if you don't know that they said it. And so that kind of legislation, I just think, is just absolutely reprehensible. And then, because it's designed to cast the broadest possible net, to catch the most fish, and it's clearly being implemented by people who are not precisely pro-employer, let's put it that way. And then there's another little ugly secret hidden underneath the policies, and that's manifest most clearly in the form of what's come to be known as the gender unicorn, which I would recommend that you look up, which is an animated character designed to indoctrinate small children into the social constructionist worldview, which claims that biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual proclivity vary independently, which they most certainly do not. Now, and that's what I said in the video. That's partly why I've been accused of, say, being a transphobe. And I also complained that the university was taking policy advice from the people who started Black Lives Matter. And I don't have anything against Black Lives Matter particularly, but the 2 people who started it are not the sorts of individuals, let's say, that the university should be basing its policy decisions, or the advice. They shouldn't be taking advice from those people with regards to their policy, and apparently that makes me a racist. So the first part of the argument about what happened with my videos was actually whether or not I was racist and transphobic and all of that. But the point that I was making, the specific technical point, was that the claim that those 4 phenomena vary independently was just patently false. And it is, by any reasonable definition of false. And I know that it's part of a much broader propaganda exercise, as evidenced by the gender unicorn, for example, which gets children to indicate on 4 sliders their sex assigned at birth, their gender identity, their gender expression, and their sexual proclivity. And you can look at the animation or at the cartoon and decide for yourself by its graphic style what age people it's aimed at. So is this a bill to protect transsexual rights, or is it a bill to further a postmodern neo-Marxist agenda? Well, God only knows, but as far as I'm concerned, having analyzed the context within which this bill arose and within which it will be interpreted, I'm going to go for the furthering the postmodern neo-Marxist agenda until that's thoroughly disproved. I would also like to inform you that I've had plenty of letters from transgender people, at least 30, and only one of them was critical of what I'm doing, because they claim, and as have many of the people I've talked to, that the idea that a group of activists can self-nominate as the representatives of a given group and then speak for them as if they have a homogenous voice is absolutely absurd, and it is completely ridiculous. And most of the transsexual people that have been contacting me have said the same thing, which is, these people don't speak for me. I wish they'd shut up, because they're doing a lot more harm than good, and I don't buy what they're doing anyways. So, I think that the claim of the activist types to speak on behalf of the groups that they purport to represent is weak at best, and I don't know why we ever assume that their representation is valid, except that we're afraid to criticize that particular presupposition. There's nothing more ridiculous than assuming that because someone is black, that they speak for black people. I can't think of anything that's more particularly indicative of a fundamentally racist attitude than that. Well, those people, they're all the same. It's like, yeah, well, sorry, it doesn't work out that way. So I wanted to clarify all that so that you have a little bit clearer idea about why I was doing what I was doing. People have asked, so to speak, why I chose to die on that particular hill, and the answer is every massive conflict of ideas, let's say, manifests itself in the minute, and that's why it's often difficult to gain any headway, because no matter where you draw the line, it's arbitrary and subject to criticism. And the fact that this happens to be about gender-neutral pronouns regarding transgender people, to me, is just more or less an accident. It could have been about almost any number of other things. But I would also like to suggest that what should have happened with what I did was that nothing. I made some videos that I was a relatively obscure academic, and I made some videos in my private time that were, pretty badly produced because they're just amateur, and I was trying to straighten out my thinking about a couple of issues, the anti-unconscious bias training, for example, and also this legislative mess. And obviously it struck a major chord. And that, to me, is indication that my original supposition was correct, and that there was far more going on under the surface than there was at the surface. Like I said, it's very difficult to pick the proper level of analysis, but one of the ways you justify your choice is by observing the impact of your choice of level of analysis and seeing if the consequences are commensurate with your original hypothesis. And I thought, well, just because people say they're doing one thing with a piece of legislation doesn't mean that that's what they're doing. And of course, a piece of legislation is a hydra. In any case, it does all sorts of things that people don't intend it to do. So that's a little background, and I'll leave the background at that. And then I'll talk to you now from a practical perspective why I believe that the idea of freedom of speech is not just another value among other values. And I would say that the simplest reason for that is that speech isn't precisely a mechanism. It's a process. It's a generative process. Free speech is the process by which all ideas are generated, and I want to make it clear why I believe that to be the case with speech specifically, because you might say, well, no, that's thought, but I don't think that's right, because the thing is that thought is a far more collective enterprise than people generally understand. First of all, most of the thoughts you have aren't your thoughts. I don't remember who it was that said that everyone is the unconscious exponent of a dead philosopher, but that's definitely the case. The very linguistic mechanisms by which we formulate our grip on the world are collective constructs, and in some cases almost entirely, because creative thought is far rarer than people generally presume. And what that means is that when we're speaking and when we're thinking, we're usually using, if not cliches, which is very frequently the case, as you know perfectly well if you've ever graded a particularly bad undergraduate essay, But even among more sophisticated people, it's generally the case that they're acting as avatars of ideas that they did not produce. And so that doesn't mean they can't further the ideas, but the point is that, you know, we're born into a linguistically mediated culture, and it's mediated at all of the multiple levels of analysis that I already described, and we're shaped in the way that we view the world with regards to the input that we receive that's collective. We learn language from other people. We use the words that other people use. We use the phrases that other people use. It's an intensely collective exercise, but even more specifically, so that's from a general perspective, let's say, but even more specifically, the problem with thinking is that you're a very narrow channel, right? I mean, there's a lot of world and there isn't very much of you. And that means that there's a lot more that you filter out than there is that you take in. And your filtering is very, very intensive. It's dependent to some degree on your embodiment. It's dependent to some degree, far more than people generally realize, on your motivations and your temperament, which is a topic we'll return to. And then it's further narrowed by your position in society and by the people that you have around you and by your particular domain of expertise or lack thereof. And then there are sets of darker motivations as well that blind you to certain things that you should be able to see but either don't or won't. And so the problem with thinking is that A, you're a narrow channel, B, you're not very good at it, and C, you're incredibly biased, and there isn't much you can do about that except listen and talk to other people, because they're not the only source of correction, but they're a pretty intense source of correction. And I mean, we're blasting corrective information at each other all the time, right? I mean, even in a situation like this, which you could think of as a monologue, but isn't, it's a dialogue. The reason I'm watching all of you is to see, you know, are you paying attention? And if not, I better adjust what I'm saying. Do your facial expressions indicate that you're understanding what I'm saying and following it? Maybe you're nodding, your eyes are open, you know, in some specific way. You're actually facing me, your eyes are on me. I can read your facial expressions, which is always why I'm looking at individuals in the audience, and I'm constantly calibrating what I'm saying if it's a dynamic conversation to ensure that the information flow is maximized. And the reason I look at your eyes is because I can tell where they're pointing, and the reason I look at your face is because you're broadcasting motivational and emotional information non-stop at me while I'm speaking. And so even in a situation like this, which, like I said, is more monologue than otherwise, there's a tremendous amount of corrective information continually flowing between speaker and listener. And if that stops, you know, if you hear a speaker who's detached from the audience, often someone who's reading, for example, it's much more difficult to listen to them, as everyone knows. And that's because there's a deadness about reading something in front of an audience. And I think the reason for that is that living, let's call it spirit, isn't manifesting itself in the same manner as it is when the speech is both spontaneous and
that is literally why I hate writing things out before I make a YouTube video, and I'd rather just make a random YouTube video and not write out my script. Even though my brain is a little weird, and even though, like, you know, I can't stay on track and I go off on tangents, I think it's more myself when I'm just speaking out of my consciousness as opposed to writing it down and rereading something I already wrote.
Self-correcting. And so the thing about free speech is that, like, I'm not a free speech advocate, let's say. I'm a true speech advocate, which is to say that I believe that people should say what they believe to be true. I think that's your obligation. It's also your right, but it comes with an obligation. But I don't believe that true speech is possible without free speech, because you're just not very good at thinking. And so you have to stumble around when you're first formulating ideas and wander into territory that's not necessarily productive and manifest your biases. And in short, you have to be a fool. And the only way that you improve upon that performance is by, well, first of all, stumbling through it to begin with, and then second, by observing carefully what sort of reactions you're getting and having a dialogue around it so that you can start to sharpen up your ideas and improve their focus and find out where you've made a mistake and all of those things. So a lot of what's necessary with regards to thinking is the freedom to make mistakes, because what, are you going to do it right the first time? I don't think so. And you know, that's why for Carl Jung, for example, the fool was a mythological precursor to the hero. The trickster is a mythological precursor to the hero, because unless you're willing to stumble around badly to begin with, you know, and to be a fool when you first start doing something, which is always the case when you're learning something new, then you're not going to make any progress. And so practically speaking, freedom of speech has to be as untrammeled as possible so that people can be wrong and they can be biased and they can still express their opinions, including their other ones, and then allow themselves to be subject partly to improvement by the world, because if you say things that are too stupid and then act them out, the world smacks you a good one.
Really?
The self-proclaimed professor against political correctness is now making more than $50,000 per month through...
You just had to ruin it for us.
Free.
I wonder if it'll leave back off where...
That's why, for Carl Jung, for example, the fool was a mythological precursor to the hero. The trickster is a mythological precursor to the hero.
Now?
Unless you're willing to stumble around badly to begin with, be a fool when you first start.
Check that out, man.
Which is always the case when you're learning something new, then you're not going to make any progress. And so practically speaking, freedom of speech has to be as untrammeled as possible so that people can be wrong and they can be biased and they can still express their opinions, including their darker ones, and then allow themselves to be subject partly to improvement by the world, because if you say things that are too stupid and then act them out, the world smacks you a good one. But there's also the social there's the other people that you're communicating with who will also do the same thing. You know, we're always broadcasting information at each other, constantly trying to shape each other's behavior. What we're trying to do is to bring forth from other people that which we would like to see them manifest. And so there's an implicit ideal as well that people are broadcasting at each other all the time. And there's tremendous social pressure, generally speaking, to manifest that implicit ideal.
My camera's about to die. I'm trying to hurry.
Prove that you or lack interest in what you're saying or criticize you. And so
You gotta beat the time, man.
Exposed to that kind of corrective feedback, because otherwise you drift and you become subject to your own idiosyncratic insanity. And I mean, I've seen that very many times in my clinical practice, because, well, first of all, I have some isolated people that come to see me. I just listen. I mean, because they don't have anyone else around, and they need someone to run their narrative by to keep their minds organized. They can't do it themselves. And they can't do it without listening to themselves talk, even, because for most people, talking is how they think. And talking socially is even more how they think. And I mean that literally. I don't mean that metaphorically. And I think that's true for almost everyone. You know, I mean, there are people who are trained academically who can actually think. But to think, you have to divide yourself into sub-personalities, I suppose, each of which has a different opinion, a well-elucidated differing opinion. And then you have to let those different elements of your personality have an internal dialogue, and you have to draw conclusions from that. It's very, very difficult for people to do that, and we radically overestimate the degree to which they do. Jung said at one point that people don't think so much as thoughts appear in their head and they believe them.
They even give you an extra one for a safekeeping.
The general, because true thought is not only that the thoughts are...
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Okay, never mind.
Right? You have to separate yourself from the thought and decide whether or not it's valuable. That's more like an editing function. And, you know, it takes a long time to be a good editor, a tremendous amount of time. And it just doesn't happen, generally speaking. So, well, so I would say, well, without free speech, there's no true thought. And then you might say, well, who the hell cares whether or not we think?
Exactly. Without free speech, there is no true thought.
You might think it's so obvious that...
YouTube, why are you trying to take away our freedom of speech? Shouldn't even say YouTube. Internet, media, government, what the hell? Leave us alone. If you want us to be thinking, intellectual, conscious beings, which you don't, it makes sense as to why you don't want freedom of speech. But what the heck? Why? Why? Without freedom of speech, there's no thinking. Like, what the heck?
It doesn't need explanation, but there's the reason you think...
I thought it died, but the movie just stopped. Alright, we're done.
Fundamentally, you know, and I really mean this technically, because the way that people evolved...
Wow!
For thought was that the
Look at me go!
a lot of
Choo choo choo!
actually emerged over the course, of evolutionary
A choo-choo.
vortex. And so that's a very interesting thing to understand.
A choo-choo. I'm gonna go on a walk with May.
That's basically baked by movement.
It's like you're coming with. Look at that. And it's like my perfect height. Cabsy here. T-shirt time. I'm just kidding.
The avatars have stimulations, and ones that get killed, they don't express in behavior. And I mean, you can do that with words too, although people, you know.
All right. I did it. Look at how cool I am. I kind of look like I work in a hotel or something, but you know what? Okay, that angle doesn't work. So yeah, I have no idea. This video is probably really long, so if you're just bored, you can watch this. If not, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. This really had no point. I wanted to like talk about a lot of stuff, but like I don't know what to talk about. Meaning like, I don't know where to begin, and I've been in a fog. Like obviously, people who like have been following me know that I've just been going through some stuff. So, and literally it took me like 3 years to get back to being myself after my mom died, but it's not going to take that long this time. But yeah, so it's been hard though, because like it sucks, because a lot of the times I'll wake up and I'm just like, dude, where's your motivation? Why don't you even want to practice makeup? Why don't you want to do this? It's like, cause you're sad, bitch. Cause you're sad and you miss your papa. But yeah, this turned out really good. It's not wobbly like my last one was. But yeah. So I apologize, and some people are like, yo, you weren't yourself in your last video, or like things like that. And I'm like, well, a lot of people don't even know who I am. I'm just kidding. Okay. So yeah, this video really didn't have a purpose, but I had to get some things off my chest. There are topics that I want to like talk about, but I want people to be aware that like I'm not a professional. I'm not a therapist. I don't know, and there might not even be a right way to it, but like I don't know, when people like, I haven't known how to explain it, because like I only know how I've been able to like cope, you know? So I just want to like let people know that like before I start, you know, talking about how I manage to do things. It's like, that's how it works for me. Like and that's why it's so hard, because I don't even want other people to try to put themselves into the situation or the personality, or not even personality, but you know, like the mindset that my card got full, so I'm going. Tired of this. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Really was me putting. It's either the stuff stops recording, I don't have a battery, I don't have a mind. No, I'm just kidding. Why do I keep saying that? I need a taser for every time I say that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it was kind of boring. But yeah, I'll be back with the Zack attack. But I hope you guys have a good day. Stay positive, stay off of social media, and don't get brainwashed. Do research yourself. If you don't know the truth, figure it out. I'm just kidding. But stop saying that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I'll be back. Ta-ta for now. I almost said it again, but I'm not gonna. Hell no.